30 clubs, 30 camps. We're with the Miami Marlins. Alongside former Marlin Cliff Floyd, I'm Robert Flores. Cliff, in 2025, the Marlins won 17 more games than the year before. They weren't eliminated from the postseason until the final week of the regular season. How do they keep the momentum going?
So every team is looking for their identity. I think the one thing with the Marlins is they know who they are, that they have some youngsters who are getting their feet up on them, understanding, what Skip is asking them to do. And when you catch the baseball and do some of the things they did throughout, that 17-game stretch where you're looking at increasing in the win column, it allowed them to come to camp with a different mindset, because you don't want to rush the rebuild. You want to just reset with the mindset that you got the guys in place to have longevity with.
There were a handful of players in 25 that opened eyes, including the outfielder Kyle Stowers. Kyle, 17-win improvement from 24 to 25 for this Miami Marlins club. What was it like being a part of the team last year? And in light of, there was some progress there. What's it like to see that kind of on the ground floor?
Yeah, I think one of the things I said going into last year, I think it was to Miggs, our hitting director, I go, these things change fast. I saw it happen in Baltimore, right? It's not one of those progressions that feels like it takes years. When you have the right pieces in place and do things the right way, it's kind of like feels like it's like a sudden turn. So it was just really fun to play competitive baseball on a night in and night out basis. I think from middle of June or on around then, we were just a good team, and so that was really, really fun.
How is it when you're being chased? Because when you're good, right, or when you're getting better, teams start chasing you. They start putting you out there, and expectations grow. This clubhouse, the guys coming to camp ready for that challenge?
Yeah, I think the reality of, this game is that all 30 teams are trying to get better every year. You look at, from the Dodgers to the last place team, everyone is looking, how can we improve, right? So, just because we had a, big increase in wins last year doesn't mean that this year's going to guarantee it. Expectations, are part of it, and as you guys know, that playing with expectations can be challenging, but just gets back to what we can control on a day in and day out basis. Doing everything we can to improve every single day, and like I said, baseball, when you're pitching well, playing good defense, and in games, you just want to have a chance to win every single night.
Kyle, I've got some numbers here. The ground ball percentage down from 24 to 25. The pull percentage in the air off the charts from 24 to 25.
Yep.
So if you could just, when you look at, because we got a split screen here of what you look like at the plate in 24 and 25, right there. What do you see?
Yeah, I think simply put, for me, I had a serial tendency of my trunk dumping, right? So as I was striding, everything was falling towards the plate. What happened with that was it would lead to early extension in the back hip. Early extension of the back hip would lead to barrel dump, and then the barrel dump would just not give me any chance on fastballs. Up in the zone especially, but
and you were more open at the plate, and that was by design.
Yeah, so I think in general, just it was all about controlling my center of mass. So when I was in my base and striding forward, I wanted to feel like I was falling back, and what that allowed me to do is it gave me space, to let my hips work right and close the barrel, I think, more frequently.
Well, let me tell you something. Most people don't think about falling back, because typically when you say falling back, you're falling off your power, and so that's sometimes each his own. When you think about how you feel and so on and so forth. I love the fact that the upper fastball is one for us that always tends, it beats us. You're able to get to that ball a little bit differently.
Yeah. So I think, for any hitter, right, that has an issue or something, you're trying to train the opposite extreme, right, and that balances you out, and so at first it was, having to think kind of like Ken Griffey finish, being able to
push you back. You're like, whoa, right,
and so I use this band in the cage, and I use it about 90% of the swings I take in the cage every day. That was essentially pulling me that way, and it's just what I found is I just stay more balanced, and still direction is through center field, all that stuff, but and then from there, the simple thing, age-old wisdoms of just being on time. and being in a good place mentally, all that stuff plays a factor too, but I would say that was the big mechanical thing for me.
I think the biggest thing for me is just you have success, which is your first half, 19 homers. Besides the injuries, when you think about the second half after the All-Star game, how is that? How is the adjustment to the league going? this cat is real. He ain't a one-hit wonder.
Yeah, I think, dealing with success was a new challenge for me, right?
Yeah.
And, I got quite good at dealing with failure. And so
we all do.
And so learning how to handle success and not skipping steps, right? Like,
Right.
I think the easy thing to think is, I have to go be the all-star every single day. And again, I could just get back to that's the byproduct, right? And, my goal when I'm on the field is, can I just be absolutely present, and can I, have a plan and approach, and to me that gives, the best chance to have success. And what, the thing about mental performance, it's still chance, and chance implies the possibility of failure. And so just, just being able to come to grips with that, and sign up for the wide range of outcomes every single day, and being able to live with whatever happens, and go be a good husband and father to my wife and baby at the end of the day. That's
I like
goal.
that philosophy. That I'm going to use that on my Instagram. There's a lot of good Instagram sayings there. Best of luck to you and the Marlins.
Yes,
Thanks for the time, Kyle.
Right,
Appreciate
thank you
it.
guys. Appreciate it.
We asked you on social media what's most likely to happen among these possible Marlins predictions in 2026. Cliff, what do you think?
Well, I would say, when you think about Kyle Stowers, he got hurt in the second half of the season, having an all-star first half. I would lean towards Kyle Stowers and what he's done.
We've got the results a little bit later. Welcome back to 30 Clubs, 30 Camps. We're in Jupiter, Florida with the Marlins. The Miami Marlins played a lot of close games last year, and the bullpen was a big part of their wins, could be a big part of their wins in 2026. They got a new closer in Pete Fairbanks, and Tyler Phillips could be sort of a Swiss Army knife for manager Clayton McCullers. Here with the closer, Pete Fairbanks. Pete, how's the transition been going so far?
It's good. I get to experience the east side of Florida for spring. It's been good. I don't want to throw anything back towards the golf courses here are way better. The treatment's been great from McCullough. Let me go home the last couple days and meet him over on the west side. So it's been great. I'm loving the vibe that we got going, and our pitching coach is making eyes at me right now.
When you get these young arms, you being a veteran, young veteran. Yeah, right. How fun has it been just to be around these dudes in camp and kind of just gauge their mindsets?
Yeah, it's been fun, right? You got some guys that, and everybody goes through it, right, where you're trying to figure out, how you're good and how you become good for an extended period of time.
Right.
And, to watch, some of the young arms kind of start to figure that out and start to, be true to themselves and what they're able to make the baseball do has been a lot of fun to watch.
Well, I'll add this real quick because when you think about where you come from with the Rays, y'all were young too. Y'all just won differently, right? You won a big market, but you won with guys who grinded every single day. It kind of feels like the same vibe.
Yeah, it definitely has that feel to it of the Rays teams that I was a part of early on. It seems like you got a ton of versatile athletes, and then you got some pitchers that'll catch some people by surprise, and then you got your frontline starters like we did, in 19, 20, 21, 22. They still got them. You got Shane and Rass and all those dudes over there. But yeah, I think the talent's there, the pieces are there, and hopefully, it all comes together.
Building off that, the Rays were definitely one of the most analytically driven franchises. The Marlins are known for their analytics and their team. I'm wondering what similarities and was that part of the reason that this franchise was attractive to you?
Yeah, there's a ton of similarities that I'm seeing in the pitching departments, and that was one of the things. It was close to home. We're having our third kid, right? That plays, that family side of thing plays a big part in any decision in which you're uprooting. But the pitching department here has been great so far, and the mesh with Mostas and B-Man and everybody has been pretty seamless, and I'm very much enjoying, a little bit of a new perspective, but also, it's same old, and we're able to find the stuff that is there to get better and hopefully continue to make that happen throughout the year.
So for you come to camp, veteran guy, get to do a couple extra things, chill out a little bit. What's some of the things you work on? The mental, the arm, a new pitch, anything different?
Yeah, it's really fine-tuning the shapes, right? You want to make sure that you have your 4 weeks to make sure that, for me, I guess 4. I didn't think I'd ever be throwing 4 pitches. But, you're making sure that those 4 shapes are dialed in. You're making sure that you're progressing that workload properly, right? You're not jumping in all of a sudden you got a huge spike and you feel terrible.
Right.
It's making sure that the body is acclimating, you're getting used to being on your feet in spikes, and making sure that the pitch shapes are there.
Speak to that. If you spike, is it more about losing the consistency of of the strike zone with that spike in velocity or spike in whatever it is?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's that. It's just kind of, as you're doing a physical progression, right? You don't want to end up in a spot where you jump it too fast and all of a sudden you feel terrible for a week and you don't feel like you're getting that proper amount of work in, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's really making sure that as we're progressing, we're doing it in that increment and making sure that the body is feeling good so you can go out there and be in the strike zone and execute.
We'll get you out of here on this one. I'm wondering if you could, from what you've seen of the rest of your bullpen mates, what are your impressions of the group as a collective?
I think it should be a fun group. It's a talented group. We got, guys that are going to make the baseball do a lot of different things. We got some guys that can spin it. You got Foch, you got Bender, you got old Gibby. I mean, I think that the arm talent is there, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And, I knew that I was going to sign up for some trouble by spending 162 games with Calvin Fauché. But we're going to welcome it and have a good time.
Well, best of luck to you, and the new colors look great on you, and good luck to you guys in 2026.
Thank you, guys.
Manager interviews are presented by Sage, the official finance software partner of Major League Baseball.
Welcome back to 30 Clubs, 30 Camps. We're in Jupiter, Florida, with the Marlins. This is what the Marlins' opening day lineup could look like. Xavier Edwards at the top. Kyle Stowers is the all-star. But there is an emerging young core, including Connor Norby, the third baseman. Earlier, Cliff had a chance to catch up with outfielder Jakob Marsee.
We're here with center fielder for the Marlins, Jakob Marsee, and made your debut last year. Talk about that and how cool that experience was.
Yeah, it was really fun. Obviously, been dreaming of that my whole life, and just finally getting an opportunity to do that and with these guys. And then the game we played in, that comeback game with the Yankees, was super memorable with the packed crowd and everything. I won't forget that.
So when you go through the maceration and understand the big league is totally different, what's some adjustments when you get here that you have to make where you're consistently like in the same, frame of mind?
Yeah, I mean, that's actually something I've been trying to work through myself, is just the adjustments pitcher make too now.
Yeah.
Just trying to adjust to them but not over-adjust, and I think that's one thing I found myself doing a little bit, is adjusting but then at times over-adjusting. So just making sure I'm adjusting but sticking to myself and not trying to do what the pitchers want or getting away from my game.
Well, hey, we had a chance to talk to your to your boy Kyle Stowers, man, and his mindset about hitting and adjustments. And how big has he been for you this camp, just thinking about getting ready for the season and all the things that you need?
Yeah, he's been huge. I mean, even last year when I got called up, he was the first guy to come up to me and just really be there for me every step of the way. And then now watch him go about his work and just being able to talk through things with him and just see how he goes about things and processes things, it really helps me. I mean, we're all trying to grow, and what better to learn from than an all-star. So he's been a huge help.
How cool is this new establishment here with the clubhouse and the weight room and all those things?
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, it's really cool to see they're putting a bunch of money into our development, and just being able to see this new facility and be able to come here and work every day makes you really excited to show up, and it's really special.
So you're going over to the K's. Let's talk hitting for a little bit. You and just how you kind of, do you tweak anything in spring? What do you try to fine-tune before you get to turn that light switch on for the season?
Yeah, I think perfect time to fine-tune things, just make sure it's working, especially once, we work all off season and we think things working, but once you get in live, you really see stuff, so it's different. So seeing how that works and just being able to work on that every single day, and then really just go from there.
Lastly, real quick, WBC, Team Italy.
Yeah.
Cool experience?
Yeah, I'm
looking forward to that?
Yeah, I'm really excited to represent my family and at the same time be able to represent Italy and just learn from those guys out there, and also be able to play some competitive games and hopefully win some games.
Cool. Hey, go out and have a great year. Stay
Appreciate
healthy.
it.
I'll see you.
Thank you.
No doubt.
At the top of the Marlins rotation, the former Cy Young Award winner Sandy Alcantara. In the middle of the rotation and possible X factor could be Max Meyer, who will enter his fourth big league season in 2026. He's seen each of his 3 prematurely end because of injuries. Time for the manager interview presented by Sage. Here with Marlins skipper Clayton McCullough. 17-win improvement from 24 to 25. There were a lot of eye-opening performances by your young players. How do you keep that momentum going into 26?
It started with last year. It's great how we finished. We were all excited about that, but also it means nothing about this year. Like, we're going to have to we have to get better if we want to continue to take the next step. So it's while, as an organization, we did a lot of positive things and moved some things forward, and some players took some steps. But this year is a new year, and it's a new group in the clubhouse, and for us, we have to keep building on that and find ways to some of the lulls we had and the lower stretches to try to find a way to, put a stop to those sooner and win a few more series.
When you think about this team in last year and how you built that, and every young team is looking for their identity. So when did last year you look at and go, okay, we found something, let's build on that one?
I think it was probably the one thing that I'm most proud of is how this team, how relentless they were. That they never were out of games. We're just going to play every game out until the final out. You just don't know. And you just keep attacking people and keep going. So it started for me early in the year, but it was a group that was certainly incredibly hungry going into the season. And our ability to play games out put us in positions as we got better to win a lot of close games.
Let's talk about the rotation. Sandy is at the top. What have you seen from him? He's going to be taking part in the WBC. And how do you feel about your rotation behind Sandy in light of there's some subtractions from that rotation from a year ago?
It's great to start with Sandy.
Yes.
And how he finished the 25 season and how he's come into this camp, I think just in a much different place. I think he's just he's all in on everything we're doing. He's worked incredibly hard to continue trying to enhance his secondary pitches. He's always going to lean very much on the sinker and the changeup, but trying to incorporate some spin and have something that moves the other way. He's balled in. I think it's going to be a real weapon for him. So expect Sandy to give us what you can. A lot of innings and a lot of quality starts. Uri Perez, I believe, has got a chance to really break out. It was great just to get him on the mound for half a season last year. The talent is certainly tantalizing, and to have him for a full season, we believe this guy has a chance to put himself in Cy Young conversations, in years to come.
Final one from me, Skip. What position battle do you have your eye on at this stage of camp?
We're going to have kind of a fluid situation at first base. We brought in Christopher Morel, who we're excited about, and we believe in the ability, and that Chris is performing at a more consistent basis. But going to give him some opportunity over there at first base, as well as Liam Hicks is in that mix, and we got Griffin Conine, who's going to spend some time at first, and third base with Connor Norby and Graham Pauley. There's the good part is that having competition is a good thing. And that's whether that's our position player group or our pitching group, is that it is at the end of the day you have to be able to perform to stay in the big leagues, and that's okay. That's what it is. So our guys love each other, but also understand that you're competing against yourself and everyone else when you come out here each day.
I checked a couple of videos, couple of your post game interviews before I got here. I think the one thing I kind of honed in on was how you talked about how imperative it is to catch the baseball. I know a lot of things play a big part, but you made emphasis on if we catch the baseball, a lot of this success can continue.
Yeah, that's I think going to be our foundational piece of if we're going to consistently compete year in and year out, which is what we believe we're going to do. And what Peter has said, and the defense is going to be a critical part. I mean, at the end of the year, the same stuff comes out. As much as our game evolves and changes, you have to pitch, and that means filling up the strike zone at a high rate, and you need to be able to catch the ball behind them. So we have a lot of athletic players that are flexible, have multiple position opportunities and things. So catching it is a huge thing for us because that's when you go in and you play really good teams, the margins to win a major league game are so small, and when you give them extra outs and you don't handle the ball, miss cutoff men, those things just end up rearing their head, and you lose more times than not.
Have you had one last thing, Ro Flo? Have you had a conversation this spring about the ABS system and how you guys going to implement it for you guys?
We have. We've had some conversations with our player group, and our pitchers told them they're not going to challenge. And look, I mean, hey, we got one in the bank. It's the ninth inning. Fairbanks is out there. The cost. And then we have talked to them some that we believe our team strategy offensively, it's going to be fluid. I think as we get more information and learn more, I think everyone is going to probably just adjust how they're viewing it. But maybe set some parameters for our position players that, when you challenge, the impact of that potential challenge maybe weighing more than us just solely focused on, how successful or unsuccessful your rate is.
Well, Clayton, your team was a lot of fun to watch in 2025, and best of luck to you guys in 2026. We appreciate the time.
Okay, thanks a lot.
You got it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we asked you on social media which of these bold predictions for the Marlins is most likely to happen. and nearly 41% of you voted Sandy Alcantara will receive Cy Young votes. Wrapping things up here, 30 clubs, 30 camps with the Marlins. Cliff, the Marlins like what they got at the top of the rotation, Sandy and Yuri. And then at the back end or the middle, maybe someone like Chris Paddock, who they signed in the offseason, could be an X factor.
I mean, this is 8th year. He's a veteran. He's been around. He's understanding himself. He's doing some things in camp, Ro Flo, that allows him to sort of peak mentally, right? Well, they have their bullpen sessions with live hitters and doing some of the things that he hadn't seen in some organizations. And maybe, nothing, different strokes, different folks. But I think the one thing that works for certain guys is what's going to get me better, what's going to give me a chance to make this team, this rotation, and help them win more.
That's going to do it for Marlins camp. For Cliff Floyd and for our amazing team behind the camera and behind the scenes, I'm Robert Flores. Thanks for watching 30 Clubs, 30 Camps.